on Facebook.
All right, so we're on live now, and let me just start.
The last time he barely got it off. This is a pretty fair kick. That's Sikahema at the 30. Sikahema gets away. Look out. Sikahema. You have just seen the 12th touchdown on a punt return in the year 1986, a 71-yard return.
You're going to see a great second and third effort in the middle of the screen. Sikahema defenders, he puts up a block right there. He gets past Irvin Randall, 54. Now look at him work his feet work. See, bounce around there, good movement. Now, Tom, there have been 1,071 returns, and this is the 12th time it's been returned for a touchdown. People don't realize how tough that is to do.
See his punting now. A low kick. Sikahema can run this one back at the 40, his own. Sikahema.
There it is.
He's going for it.
Oh,
You have just seen it.
A 60-yard punt return by Sikahema, his second of the day.
He's the best offensive weapon they got.
I wasn't gonna do any. I had Division II schools calling me for basketball, no D1 schools. So I mean, I was like, all right, well, I guess I got to go with what's gonna send me to school.
The Eagles were on the clock, and they selected an offensive lineman, the tackle out of Kansas State, Barrett Brooks.
The next day, all the draft picks fly to the teams they got drafted at. We can come out to talk to the media and tell them who we are, and they introduce and everything.
I'm sitting in the media room with everybody else. Door opens behind me and they walk in.
I see Vi out the corner of my eye. I'm like, Mr. Sikahema, Mr. Sikahema.
And I look up and I say, hey, how you doing? He says, it's me, Barrett Brooks. I go, welcome to Philadelphia. You know, second round draft pick, that's pretty cool.
I said, no, bro. You gave me my first pair of shoes. You gave me the Ruse. Remember the Ruse?
I got up and I said, you gotta be kidding me. He goes, yeah, I'm here, man. I'm here. And guess what?
Mr. Sikahema, I can afford my own shoes now. He's like, what?
I can buy any shoe that I want now, man, but thanks to you, I'm here. I watched with great awe and I watched with great pride. Because to me, he's like, this is watching one of my kids. I knew him when. And then he becomes an NFL player.
Turn your attention to another former, at this point, football star who you guys know pretty well in Philadelphia, Vai Sikahema, return specialist who had this celebrity boxing match with Jose Canseco last night in Atlantic City, knocks him out in the first round. Your thoughts?
Well, no, I'm not surprised. I mean, the fact is, Jose Canseco's a baseball player, and he's a rat. But Vai Sikahema is a man. He can fight. You understand? He's not a punk. He knows what he's doing with those fists of his. And no baseball player is just going to step into the ring just because you're selling book about steroids and beat him. I knew Vai Sikahema was going to knock him out. I'm not surprised at all.
Welcome to the 2010 Vai Sikahema Touchdown Celebration Fantasy Football League Season Preview.
Techno.
Vi, I grew up outside of St. Louis, and we didn't have much to cheer for when it came to the football Cardinals, but you better believe we cheered for you. Ladies and gentlemen, class of 2016 Polynesian Football Hall of Fame member, Vi Sikahema.
Ko tomo whakatapu atu. Di he tui o langi. Tau tamai he van. Me he whokon of awa whaanga ko si sukalais. Tap mo whanua e ka tonga. Ko tup me ai. Pea tap. Mo whahinga ko toa pe ai ko nau. Oh. Mo ngao ki au. Ki wa usia whakalanglang. Ma kehe koe ni ahoni. Ko o atu whaka apa. Ke hunga mātu a. Ko lonu potentil. Ia na tauhi. Mo aku na ki iau. Ke wa usia ahon. Ke kau tapi. Kau ngava ing. Kau whaiak. Mo e ku kau ngau e he lotongan. Ko o atu e ku whakatap ma ke. Mo ku whaafetak. Whaafetak. Ki o hoa ko ke au. Ke ne o wha. Mo ne kātaki. Mo ne teu. Mo pou i au ke wa usia ahon. Ladies and gentlemen, I pay my respects to my Heavenly Father and His Son, Jesus Christ. For their faith and their trust, and having always, as Troy said, having always felt their favor in my life.
Man, you look young right there.
We're old.
We're getting old, right? Man.
My brother.
Yeah, that was a nice little snippet of Vai there. But before we start, man, we just want to thank the Heavenly Father for giving us this opportunity to be able to have this conversation with all of you, especially our guest tonight. He's a brother, he's a friend, he's a father, he's a God-fearing individual, and he's the first guy to ever break into the professional football here in the NFL. Vai and I, we see each other once in a while, but we spoke this week after many years, and it's just like that we never left. We just picked up everything when where we left off.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling just to catch up with somebody that we have not seen for a while and catch up and where we left off. But it gives me and our group here, Carlo, Phil, Hahano, a great pleasure, and we're honored to have you tonight as our guest to talk with you and just to reminisce about old times and just to get to know a little bit about where you're at today with your life, how things went with you playing in the league, and it's just a conversation. It's nothing more than a conversation and trying to get to know each other, and for the people that are watching and for them to know a little bit about yourself. We started this group as just something to bring back the memories of all the athletes that represented our island back in Tonga. There were trailblazers back then because there were no outlet for people to know who they are, but they found a way to do it. They found a way to get themselves out there, to get people to know them, who they are. They even went out of the country to further their to further their athletic ability. And we just wanted to, to bring back the memories of all those that have gone before us and put our island on the map for, as athletic, as a small island out of the Pacific. I think we have made a big stamp in the athletic world by a lot of our athletes out there playing. So just want to welcome you, Vi, to this conversation that we're just talking. And like I said, we are so happy to have you, and it's a pleasure to have you with us tonight. So welcome, my brother.
Timote, Malo Obito, Carlo
Yeah.
Pila, Hanno, thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much for this great honor to be on your show. Timote sent me a message maybe just a couple of weeks ago. He said, "Hey, I'd like for you to come on this program. It's new. We're just trying to get it off the ground. But if you want to tune in this week, we're going to have Fonomanu Sekona on the show." And I would have come on anyways, but when he said Fonomanu Sekona, what? Fonomanu Sekona, I was telling you guys, and I want your viewers to know this. When I was a kid, I didn't know how old Fonomanu was. I had no idea. I mean, if you'd have told me he was 90, I wouldn't have known. It was mentioned in the show that he was 68. So I remembered when I saw him. It was 1970. I had just arrived from Tonga, and my parents were in Laie, where Mote grew up, and they were there because my mom was going to school at then Church College of Hawaii. But my dad took me to Honolulu one night. My dad did, and his friend Lepuha, who was also a tough street guy, and they drove me, just the three of us. I sat in the middle, and they drove me in a pickup truck, Lepuha's yate truck. We drove to the Blaisdell Center, and Manivaka was the main event. Fonomanu fought on an undercard along with a guy named Mike Quarry, who was a welterweight. His brother was more famous, named Jerry, fought Ali and was a heavyweight. But I saw Fonomanu that night. I was 8 years old. So doing the calculation, if he was 68, that means he was 18 years old that night when I saw him.
Wow.
I'm telling you, I was, even at 8 years old, I saw, and they shared a locker room. I didn't realize until just now when Hano said that Fonomanu recognized my name, and he connected my father to me. My father is Loni, and that he was a dorm parent at Liahona. I didn't even know that Fonomanu was there. So that's probably the reason why we were in the locker room, right? I just assumed it was because they were Tongan. They let my dad in the locker room, and we were in there. I've got pictures of me in the locker room that night, and there's a picture of me with Fonomanu and Manivaka, but I can't find that picture. I just have a picture of me standing, posing with gloves that night in their locker room. Anyways, my point is, Manivaka knocked out his guy in the first round. Fonomanu and his opponent went the distance. I don't know if they fought 6 rounds or 8 rounds, and Fonomanu won by split decision. And but just as a kid, just in the locker room with these two Tongans, their bodies were, man, so sculpted.
Yeah.
So sculpted.
Yeah.
I mean, huge. And Fonomanu especially was big. I mean, he had shoulders that, they look like NFL linebackers, man.
Yeah.
So huge. But they were my first, heroes when I was a kid. They were the first ones that idolized Manivaka and Fonomanu, in Tonga. But that's a really warm, sweet memory that I have. And I tuned in last week or the week before to watch your show. I wish it was 4 hours long. I sat and watched every second of it.
Wow.
And I'm intrigued listening to him, and then realized that Hanno's on the show is his son. Man, I feel I was in heaven last, watching that show.
Yeah, he was really, when we put some of his photos and we talked a little bit about him, he was really popular. A lot of people took a liking to it, and they shared it, and that just goes to show that people remember him. I think maybe he's probably one of the first guy that ever, I mean, I don't know, but I remember growing up hearing about his name, boxing.
Yeah. Yeah, look, you and I were, we're, I'm, I don't know, 3 or 4 years older than you. So, but I grew up, I boxing was my first love because my dad taught me to box, and I think if you and I didn't immigrate with our families to the States, you would have played for the Nuku Nuku rugby team, and I would have played, for Hatejo or somebody, or we would have gone into boxing, because we were both athletes. And I'm glad we didn't. I'm glad we came to the States, and I'm glad we ended up playing American football. That was, paid off well for us. But as a kid though, Bill and Carlo and Hanno and Mote, I followed boxing, and I know I have a pretty good feel for the history of the sport. Even in Tonga, I watched some of the best fighters as a kid in Tonga. There was Tungi Arcade had they would set up a boxing ring at Tungi Arcade, but my mom worked on the second floor. It was only a two-story building. My mom worked on the second floor in the church's translation department. So I would go there the days they had fights. I would go to her office, and I would sit in a window and look down onto the fight and watch the fights that were held at Tungi Arcade. And so Sipa Fine, some of those old time fighters, man. My dad, was a young fighter. He was, in his 20s, but he would jump in the ring. But Tonga has a long history of great fighters. Think about this. In 1958, this is before any of us. In 1958, the number 8th ranked heavyweight in the world, Mote, was a guy, was a Tongan, Kitione Lave. He was the 8th ranked heavyweight in the world from Tonga. And he did a tour in 58. He did a tour of Europe, and he knocked out the British champion. It was Henry Cooper. Knocked him out in the 7th round, and then came back to Tonga. I mean, it was unheard of that, that somebody from Tonga, he was the 8th ranked heavyweight in the world in 1958.
Quite an accomplishment.
Mote, he was 5'8", 208 pounds, and he was heavy-handed, both hands. He was lethal with his right and his left. I've got old pictures of Kitione Lave. If you saw him, Mote, he would look like Barry Sanders. I mean, heavily muscled. Bila, does this? You brought it up, so you probably know, and Hano does too.
Yes,
you've seen pictures of Kitione Lave, man. He was.
Yeah, he was real short.
Now, his fights didn't go long because he would tire out. He didn't have the. I heard you guys talking to Romano last week about the training regimens that we just didn't have it, and so his fights. If you can take his fights past the 6th round, he would tire. But he was like a young Mike Tyson, man. In the first 3 rounds, he was coming to knock you out. Oh man.
Why we are kind of mesmerized here. I'm just looking at you. I was a huge BYU fan with Jimmy.
Was or you still, man?
But when you came to the Cougars, I mean, one thing
where were you? I came to BYU in 1980. Tell me where you were and where you were living and how old you were. I want to get a feel for where you were.
I was 17 here in Granger, in West
Oh
Valley.
man, we're the same age. Yeah.
But
so you were there with Molonai Hall at Granger and
yes. Well, Molonai was in Granite High School. They were in Granite.
Oh, they're Granite. Okay, you're right.
Yes. To take you back, why the program is about you, and we appreciate the history of Gideon and them. But tonight is all about Vai Sikahema. You know, like I said, I'm kind of lost for words right now, but I want to take you back to 1986, the day they announced your name in the draft. How did that feel? I mean, you're the first Tongan among us that went in there to represent our people. And what a job you did. But tell us, how did that feel? Knowing that you're the first Tongan to ever be drafted in the NFL.
Two of us Tongans went in that draft. It was I went in the 10th round to St. Louis, and from Utah. All of a sudden, Filippo Mokofisi, who's Timote's buddy from high school.
Right.
Filippo Mokofisi was taken in the 8th round by New Orleans.
Wow.
And Filippo Filippo was hurt.
Yes.
I think he had a shoulder injury and just didn't make the team. It was really fortuitous that I made the team, because if I didn't make the team, it was a matter of age. I'm older than Timote. Otherwise, Timote would have been the first, because Timote was assured a spot on the Cleveland Browns. He was going to be there. I had to go make the team. I mean, we all have to make the team, but when you're drafted in, Timote was, I think, the 3rd round. Were you the 3rd round or 2nd round, Timote?
It was the 3rd round.
Timote was taken in the 3rd round. Unless you break a leg or you just totally stink, you're not, you're going to make the team if you're a 3rd round draft pick. The 10th round draft pick, it's a crapshoot. But the day that I was drafted, I didn't even know that I was getting drafted. In fact, I forgot that the draft was even that weekend, because they have pro days now, and now it's a big deal because every senior, no matter if you played or not, gets to run for the scouts. Back then, pro days were just for the handful of people that they wanted to actually see.
Right.
But I would take my cleats, and we had our pro day. I would go. I showed up hoping that they wanted. Robbie Bosco was our quarterback. He was a senior, and he was going to throw. I had hoped to just run some routes so that so that they could see me. They didn't even want me to do that. So I didn't work out once. I wasn't invited to the combine. My wife and I, we had our oldest, our first child was about 4 or 5 months old, and we actually drove to Arizona to be with my parents because school had just let out in April at BYU. We start early and we get out early. So we were sitting at the house, and the phone rang, and my mom picked up the phone, and I heard her say something, and then she hung up the phone. And then the phone rang 2 minutes later, and my mom said, in her broken English, who? Well, we don't know anybody in New York. And I said, who's that, Mom? And she said, somebody from New York wants to talk to you. I said, well, maybe you should give me the phone. She hands me the phone, and I said, hello? And the voice says, is this Vai Sikahema? Yes. This is Larry Wilson. I'm the general manager of the St. Louis Football Cardinals. And I just want to let you know that we're about to take you in the next round. And I said, wait, who? What? What round? Take
That's
me
right.
where?
Yeah.
He goes, the St. Louis Football Cardinals. St. Louis had the oddity of their baseball team and their football team were both named the Cardinals.
Cardinals.
So I didn't know what he was talking about. So, and then he said to me, are you watching TV? I said, yeah, we're watching TV. He said, are you watching ESPN? I said, no. He said, flip to ESPN. So I flipped the channel to ESPN, and at that very moment, see they only broadcast the first 3 or 4 rounds that back then. After that, they did something else, but they ran a crawl along the bottom of the screen.
Right.
And at that very moment, all of a sudden, I saw my name come across the very bottom. St. Louis Cardinals, with their 10th pick, select Vai Sikahema, running back, BYU. Man, I thought I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And then he said to me, I'm going to put you on hold. I'm going to put you on with the head coach. His name is Gene Stallings. He was the former defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys, and he's our new head coach. And then next thing I knew, I heard this big, deep voice. Hello, son. I'd like to welcome you aboard the St. Louis Football Cardinals. We look forward to meeting you, and we think you're going to be a good player for us.
Yeah.
I said, yeah. I had no idea that I was going to get drafted. Because I really didn't play. I didn't play that much when I was at BYU. I returned punts and kicks, and I was a backup running back. So I had no idea why they would even draft me. But anyways, at that point, I decided.
Coming in a rough, they got you, babe.
Right. I went there, and I had one of those odd careers where I had a so-so college career, and I had a much better NFL career than I had a college. Nobody could, if Mote went to high school, his first couple of years with Lake Muli, and I played with Lake at BYU, and Lake had a much better college career than I did. He had a much better. He had an NFL body, right?
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, things didn't work out for Lake, and I think I ended up going to the right team, and Lake went to the wrong team. I think that was a lot of it is the luck of the draw. Sometimes you go to the wrong team, and they don't need. He went to the Chicago Bears, where they had like 8 running backs on their roster.
Yes.
Back in the 80s. And I went to a team where they were trying to move their backup running back and who was the punt returner. His name was Stump Mitchell. And they were looking for a guy just to return punts. So I went there, and it ended up working out the way that it did.
I love the fact that you kind of simplify your career, but really, you made an impact in the league and in our people, just by you saying, I was just a punt returner. Imagine the Tongan kids nowadays that will go in and possibly just be doing that, be asked to be the punt returner or kickoff returner. But you at Mote here, or the Talanoa, you guys have paved the road for our kids. And that's what I'm after here, Vai, is not only are you the first Tongan to ever be in the NFL, you are also, maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, the first Tongan to be in the general authority in the LDS Church. Things like this just doesn't happen to anyone. You know what I mean? Tell us, or tell the kids what they should do with their work ethics. Tim had mentioned his work ethic. What do you think that our kids should do to, go up to the next level in college and possibly into the NFL? What would you say to kids?
What I would tell them is one, you and Tim will tell you this. You can't count on playing in the NFL. You just can't. It's so, there's a lot of it is luck, quite honestly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys who are much better than me and much better than Timote, who never got to the NFL because either they blew their knee, or they flunked out, or they got, somebody pregnant, or they got involved in drugs, or 101 things keep people from the NFL every year. Guys who should be in the NFL, right? I mean, just look at the guy who's the wide receiver with the Steelers, Antonio Brown, right?
Right.
I mean, that guy has had a really good run, but that guy should be a Hall of Fame player, and he's out of the league, and he just signed with somebody. I can't remember who he just signed with. Tampa Bay. I think he just signed with Tampa Bay.
Wow.
But just stupidity has kept that guy from the league. And if he wasn't the kind of elite talent that he is, he wouldn't even get this chance. But there's lots of guys that are like that who blow up their opportunity to ever get in the league. So that said, we've had a flood of, Tongan kids who have followed me and Timote into the NFL, and a lot of them have played. Some of them have played for a long time. Halotingata just ended a 12 or 13-year run in the NFL.
Illustrious career.
Very successful, won a Super Bowl. We want our kids to, to have the glory, have the opportunity to do something that, that's really, and Timote will tell you, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and you don't want to mess up your chance by doing stupid stuff, right? One of the things that makes our athletes so appealing to sports teams is just how that we don't get in trouble. That Tongan kids and Samoan kids, for that matter, we don't get in trouble, because we don't break the law. We don't do stupid stuff. We don't end up in the front page of the newspaper. They want you on the sports page, not on the front page. And Tim played with probably a bunch of crazy dudes who, did dumb things, and they shortened their careers. You want to maximize your career, play as long as you can. So the main thing is this: if you have a chance to go play in college, no matter where you go, Tim had I don't know that there's been ever another Tongan that's played at Penn State. But that's a powerful football school. But what a lot of people don't know, that Penn State is one of the top research schools in the country. It's an amazing academic place to go to school. So take advantage of, I always tell people, I like to tell kids this: don't work for football, make football work for you. Right? If you work for football is going to be what I would say a finicky mistress. She will break your heart.
Yeah.
About the same time she breaks your knees, she's going to break your heart, right? Because football will always break your heart. Rarely does anybody walk away from football. Most people leave football because it leaves them. Yeah. But if you make football work for you, take advantage of your education and do your best in school. Timote's got a bunch of nephews. He and I were talking about his older brother Ofa has a boy that's at UCLA. Right. UCLA's, man, it's one of the top schools in the country. It's like, it's like Penn State, BYU. There's a bunch of Tongans. Half the roster at the University of Utah are Tongans, man.
Yeah.
Those kids need, they need to take advantage of their opportunity there and learn, study. And if you get to the NFL, great. But and then you'll take advantage of, take advantage of your college degree. And if you don't, then you have, you're still better off than you were before you started.
Yeah.
You feel that way, Mote?
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of our kids nowadays think they know everything. And that's some of them, already thinking they're already in the NFL while they're just in high school sometimes. But the whole idea, making it to the NFL, I mean, I think a lot of the parents, that's the wish they want for their kids to make it to the NFL. But like Vai said, I think it's only like 1% or less than 1% makes it to the NFL out of college every year. And there's thousands and thousands of kids coming out of college every year. But the main thing is you got a scholarship to go to a big university and go to school for free, to where your parents could not afford to put you in that school if they had to. But now you had a chance, you have a full ride. Everything is paid for 4 years, even if you got hurt in college. They take care of you. And I think you have to be a student and then an athlete after that. Because if you fell out of school, there's no way you're going to make it to the NFL in that way. But like Vi said, that's when you get to the NFL, that's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to. I mean, you coming in there, like I said a few times, and you're coming in there to take somebody else's job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody that's getting paid more money than you coming in to take their job, taking food off their table. I mean, the competition's it's tough. And
it's not every other year or every 3 years. It's every year.
Every year.
Somebody's coming to take your job.
Yes.
Yeah. The other thing, Mote, let me ask you this. I was surprised at how smart guys were when I got to, even when I got to college, man, the stuff that you got to learn.
Yes.
It's hard. It's
a whole different language.
It's a different language. These schemes are different. You got to know what everybody's doing.
You got to know the defense.
You get to the pros, and it's even more complicated. I mean, you can't be, the idea that you can be a dumb jock. I always say you can't be a dumb jock. If you're playing at a Division I school, you have to be pretty smart, because you have to understand the complexities of the defenses or offenses, whatever position you play. You have to be pretty smart to know what's happening. And then you have to go to class, and you have to, be at a, C or B level student to even stay in school to play. You get to the NFL, and those guys are all smart. Man, those guys are super bright, because that's how they keep their jobs. They know, they study, and they, so I agree with you, Mote.
Well, that's the whole thing about the NFL. The one thing that they frown on you is mental mistakes on the field. They fine you. They charge you for having that mental mistakes. And they would put you on the bench if you keep having those mental mistakes.
You don't get many chances, and because you're going to cost those coaches their job.
Their job.
Right.
So the dumb jock, it's not. When you get into the NFL, I mean, you have to know the playbook. It's pretty thick. First day you walk in, they hand you a playbook. They say, study this, all of it. And then you only run like 4 or 5 plays during the game.
Yeah.
But there's like 200 plays.
You better know what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you're going in for 4 or 5 plays, you better know what you're doing.
Right. So, but just for our kids coming up nowadays, man, you have to set your goal right, and you have to know what you want to do in life, because football is just a small part of your life. Even 10 years, that's a small part of your life. But then you have to live your life. I mean, I got out when I was like 28, 29. Man.
Yeah.
Then I have to live my life.
Yeah.
So,
Vai and Tim, I would like to know, since you guys are talking about scholarships and that, I read this week that a kid here from Utah, Siaki Ika, who signed with
LSU.
Okay. And this week he puts out that he'll be on the transferring thing. Okay? What would you guys recommend? Because I know most of these kids are probably looking at, Alabama is looking at me. Okay? Would you guys recommend that they would better evaluate the situations, because to me, if I'm going to go to Alabama and they're 5 deep in every position, there's a slight chance that you might play. You know what I mean? To put yourself in that predicament. And then what would you guys recommend for kids as far as scholarships and schools to go to? Would you go for academics? I mean, of course, but would you go for a school that's known for winning and all that, and you are on the bench the majority of the time you're there? This is for both you, Tim and Vi, please.
Go ahead, Vi. I'll give it to you first.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
I would put it this way: if you're going to school on a football scholarship, you pick the best school for you where you can play. And I'm saying the academics will take care of itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you get your degree. You get your degree from Weber State, Southern Utah. You get your degree from Pacific in California, or you can go to Alabama. Your college degree is your college degree. So pick the school where you're going to get the best opportunity to play football. For Timote, it happened to be Penn State. For me, it was BYU.
Right.
Secondly, I did see that Siaki is in the transfer portal and about to transfer. Well, I would suggest him. I think he's a sophomore this year, and I think maybe he's not happy with his playing time. Most of the time, he knows his situation better than I do. But I don't know if he's unhappy with his playing time, and that's the reason why he wants to go. But wherever you go, you got to go prove yourself. Most of the time, you're better off just staying at your school.
Yeah.
And as far as what was the other? I heard this great story. I don't know if either of you watched the Tuatanga Bailoa.
Yes.
The special that Fox did on him. But I've gotten to know Tua and his family, his mother and father, Ngalo and Diane, really well over the last couple of years through the Polynesian Football Hall of Fame, and I've gotten to know them really well. And in the documentary that they did on him, his grandfather tells this great story, and it's relevant to Siaki's situation. His grandfather says that he asked him one night, "Tua, where are you going to school?" And Tua said, "I'm going to USC, Grandpa." "Why are you going to USC?" "Because that's my school. I always wanted to go to play at USC." His grandfather says, "Is that the best school?" And he meant the best football. "Is that the best football school?" And Tua says, "No." Grandfather says, "Where is it?" He says, "Alabama." He goes, "Why don't you go to Alabama?" And Tua said, because they have a freshman quarterback over there. And he took his team to the national championship.
Right.
His grandfather pauses and then says to Tua, "But is that the best school? Football school?" "Yes." "Then go there and challenge that boy. If you think do you think you're the best?" "I do."
Wow.
"Then go there and challenge that boy. If you think you're the best, go to the best school and challenge him. If you think you're the best." Now most Tongan and Samoan grandfathers would probably say that to all of their grandsons, right? Because that's just, hey, if you're the best, you go play the best. But you have to be, be realistic. You go, you're thinking, man, no, I don't want to go there. I may go there and sit on the bench for 3 years, right?
Right.
Tua ends up going to Alabama, and we all know the story, right? He comes in the national championship game as a freshman, throws a touchdown, and the other kid ends up transferring.
Yes.
He's actually here with the Eagles now, Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
But I thought to myself, man, what a powerful thing for a grandfather to tell his grandson, and for that grandson to say, "You know what? You're right. If I think I'm the best, I'm going to go to the best school. And I'm going to, even if they've got a freshman quarterback, I'm going to go challenge him." So there's something to be said for that. So anyways, I want to hear Timote's.
No, I understand Yeah, what you're saying is very true because I was in the same situation too when I was coming out of high school. Penn State just won the national championship in '82.
82, yeah.
Yes.
Talk
And they,
Blackledge and
yeah,
Kurt Warner,
Kurt Warner. So
Greg Garrity.
that's,
Come on, man.
yeah, Greg Garrity, exactly.
Dude, I was the biggest Penn State fan. When you went there, I was so jealous that you went there, man.
But it's the same thing that I had over there. You know what I mean? I played. I mean, I had time when I was there as a freshman and linebacker as a linebacker. But then they switched me to a running back, fullback, my sophomore year. But there was another guy in front of me, so I was a backup my whole time there. But the whole situation, like you're saying, is my roommate and I were sitting there at doing, sophomore year, junior year, saying to ourselves, maybe we can play somewhere else. Maybe
Were you thinking about it?
Yeah, that was the mentality that we had because we didn't play. But I think it was just we decided not to do it, not to transfer because we really were thinking of transferring to Pitt, right down the street from Penn State. But the question Bill was asking, if to transfer, I mean, each kid knows their situation. But if he's worrying about he's not playing, I think he should stay in challenge where he's at. Because everywhere he's going to go now, it's going to be, well, if he goes somewhere else and same thing's going to happen to him. He's going to ask himself about that question. I should have just stayed over there. But, everybody's situation is different, but I think he should stay.
Go ahead, Mike.
I would tell Bill, I would tell Siaki right now, I need you to transfer to BYU right now.
Man, that would be the best thing for him and for us, huh?
Yeah, I think.
You know that shirt you're wearing, Vi? That's where you need to transfer to.
Yeah.
You a USC
you need to transfer
guy?
to USC.
Oh, man,
that's my team.
I just happen to have this shirt on. I think I got it from Chad Kauha'a, who used to coach there. I think that's who gave it to me. I can't remember. Timothy knows this. Everywhere we go, man, people give us free stuff.
Yeah.
And so whoever gives me free stuff, I'll wear your shirt.
Advertising, man.
We got a bunch of Tongans at USC, man. There's
a
lot of Tongan kids there now, and some coming in this this new year. There's a bunch of Tongan kids coming to USC.
Yeah,
I think that's. I mean, you and I were all of us here are first generation here in the United States. And now our kids are having kids, third generation. So the opportunity for them is greater now because they grew up in the States. They know what to do here in the United States. And a lot of kids have an opportunity. Most of our kids has the opportunity to go anywhere they want, but it has to come down to they have to go to school, education first. So a lot of our kids, I mean, there's so many are out there now playing football, but the other side of it is looking at other sports for our, for our kids now. Baseball is there, golf, basketball. But we'd like to, I think most what we're going through right now is just a lot of our parents are just pushing their sons to go through and play football.
Right.
But the other side of it is, how about the girls? We so focus on our sons, but we don't let our girls to play sports like our sons does. So I know Carlo is involved with the women's rugby and all of that. And can you give us just a little bit of what you think about what's going on with the women rugby? Because I know there's one time in Tonga that they didn't want our women to get involved in rugby for our
Really?
girls in Tonga. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think it is interesting with you know, the women's game, and I'm pretty sure that NFL have got a lot of money that can field the women's teams in the sport and develop it, and also I don't know if Tim and Bill have told you why we're thinking of getting someone that's rich to field our first Tongan NFL team. Maybe you and Tim and Mike can put your funds together and field our first team or something.
Carlo, we can put all of us can put our funds together, and it wouldn't even make enough money to pay the practice squad players on an NFL team.
Or get a coach. We wouldn't even be able to get one coach.
Or a trainer.
Yeah. But you know, just quickly, because I don't want to take up people want to hear from you, Vai. And you know, first of all, I'm still a little bit over, not a little bit, but I'm quite overwhelmed. I've never met you personally. I don't know you personally. I've just read a lot about you. I've written a little bit about you. I first knew about you through a sports professor of mine, Professor Lisa Uparesa. Her father was one of the first pipeliners from Hawaii and from Samoa in regards to American football.
Keith?
Samoan.
Is her father Keith?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I remember Lisa as a little girl.
Well, New Zealand stole her from Columbia University.
Wow, from Columbia.
Yeah. So, you know, it's not just any university, you know, top Ivy, you know, in the world. So she came here to Auckland University, and she's got a sports paper here, and that's what caught my eye. I was in between. I used to coach rugby league for both men and women, and I sort of I'm getting a little bit old, and I was wanting to hang my whistle and boots up. So I just sat in and I went in there, and I saw her lectures, and I attended one of her papers without being enrolled in it. And I've been there ever since. I think it's been about maybe 4 years now. And she's actually my supervisor as a master's student on research on women's rugby and rugby league. So it's a blessing to meet her. She's an awesome person with a wealth of knowledge. Yeah.
Carlo, I'm interested why Tonga. I know, you know, I know the Tongan, our Tongan customs and our culture. You know, we're very modest in our dress. We're more modest than all the other Polynesian islands, I think, and in our mannerism, in our I think even our dances are very very conservative. So I wonder, do you think that's the reason why? I'm a little surprised by that. You know, in 2020,
it was more of an individual mindset of leadership at the time. You know, Tonga is really progressive. They've come a long way, and you know, in 2017, Tonga had a really successful World Cup that set up, and so you know that was sort of what put Tonga on the map with MMT in terms of rugby league.
Yeah.
And when there was a change of government and sort of change of mindset in certain conservative leaders, and they decided that boxing and all forms of rugby shouldn't be played or performed by women anymore in Tonga. So they there was a little bit of a, dispute whether it was official or unofficial ban, but, they came out in public and it was out in the papers and everything and said no more girls to play rugby and rugby league, rugby or boxing. So, it was good. We saw a real shift and, a lot of support from all different kinds of codes getting behind the girls, and a little bit of political pressure from New Zealand and around the world. And it was good. In 2018, it was overturned. And in this government here we have now is no longer existent. So it was a bit of a hiccup for the girls. But it's good. It's going through. It's very progressive, and of course, rugby girls are professional now. Rugby league girls are professional now. So there's a lot more opportunities, and it would be great to see the girls NFL getting in there as well.
Well,
Is a women professional for NFL?
No, not yet.
Okay.
But it's really a shame, to say, about, I don't want to mention his name, the minister that came out with the article, what Vai is speaking about, that it's just not proper for the Tongan women to play in the rugby clubs or rugby league. But I mean, I wish he would come out to the world and see more, especially with the democracy system, running our island now. Even though I'm against what he's about, but he is the new chairman for our rugby league team or something like that.
Yes.
I'm hoping that he could open up those people's minds, and allow this. Because, as we were speaking, or as Vai and Tim was speaking about scholarships, these are doors for them, that they could possibly in the future get a scholarship straight from Tonga to come out and, attend school and, in exchange for their talent. But, it's like I said, I am for you, Carlo. I support your efforts 100%, and I appreciate Vai's and Tim's input on that.
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, sport for many cultures is a sport. It's only vainga, and you can get, opportunities. But, for people like our Tonga, ourselves, sport is a livelihood. It's a real opportunity to come away from living in the mud of, hufanga whakatapu.
Yes.
It's there real situations where people are living by the sea, living in a very small little shack, and they may only have a daughter that's very talented, and that daughter can go and play rugby or rugby league professionally and contribute to, and it's not only playing, she can become a physio, a doctor, a coach, and there's
opportunities
limitless
out there. Yes.
Yeah, but there's a lot of Tongan families that don't only have boys and have girls working for their families. I go to Tonga quite frequently, and there are girls that are selling peanuts or selling coconuts. They sell that before they go to school to get lunch money or something, or money for the week. That's their daily ritual. So there's real opportunities. It's not really only about gender and customs and culture. People need to look at as people, you stop girls from these opportunities, you're also stopping the livelihood of people in that nation. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So I am looking forward to maybe Tim or Vai could start coaching some girls team or something. We'll go live on the page.
There you go.
It's an interesting, I know Timote's got daughters, and I have heard this many, many times from younger cousins of mine who have children who are playing sports. And one of the things that they tell me is that there's if you have a family with 5 kids and there's 3 boys and 2 girls, the family will save money and raise money so that they can send those boys to football camp.
Yeah.
But they won't save money for the 2 girls to go to volleyball camp. They're kind of on their own. It's not a priority in their family to send the girls to volleyball camp, where it is a priority to send the 3 boys to football camp.
Yeah.
And I think this has a lot to do with just the dynamics of our culture, and we're still, I think, somewhat backwards in our society, meaning our Tongan society, in trying to help our boys get to the NFL or get to college, and then our daughters, not so much. I think it's a huge discrepancy that's often problematic, and even in the way that I think girls see themselves, and their own self-esteem and self-image.
Yeah. But I think our next generation, like you were the first generation, the second or third generation, I think they're more open to that situation of having their girls participate in other sports. I think we're seeing a little bit of that with the Samoans now. Having their girls participating in a lot of the sports. We have golfers. I mean, I would love to see people. Some of our kids.
Tony
Finau, yeah. I mean, he's opened doors for a lot of the kids to play golf, and I see a lot of the kids, guys or women that I've grown up with in Hawaii have their kids involved in golf now, especially in Utah. I see all that.
Yeah.
But I think it's starting to ease up a little bit for us to let our girls to be involved in sports.
Bill and
yes,
and Carlo, Timote mentioned something about the fact that he and I were first generation, and the kids that are all playing in the NFL and in college now, except for a kid named Pita Tamoepenu, who played at Utah and then went to the 49ers, who was born in Tongan and then came his last year and played high school ball 1 year and then went to junior college, or I think he went straight to Utah. Outside of him, and he's an anomaly. Otherwise, all these kids now were all born here in the States. In our generation, as first generation, we were born in Tonga. Me, Lake, Timote. Most of us were born in Tonga and then came here. And you can't underestimate some of the issues that we had to walk through. As Timote was then and is still probably the only Tongan to ever go to Penn State. I don't, unless another one has snuck through there. I try to keep touch. There've been BYU has a Tongan football coach now the head coach at BYU.
Right.
We got tons of Tongans who are playing in the NFL and playing in every school in the Pac-12 conference has Tongan players. We've got Tongan coaches now, more and more.
Yeah.
But little things that we had to navigate because we were the first Tongan. Now, for instance, I'll just share this real quickly. We're probably out of time now, but when I was in high school in Mesa, Arizona, I was embarrassed I was embarrassed the first day of school because the teachers could never say my full name. You know, and then I hated the fact that, you know, that my dad was a security guard at my school. And then I was embarrassed because my dad played music and we would go do luau's to have extra money. And we would show up at schools. We would go do luau's, and then I would see, you know, kids that I would play against at other schools. And I was embarrassed because I had to do the, you know, come out and do the haka and, you know, slap dance and all that stuff. And I always felt, I always felt ashamed, you know?
Wow.
And so I hated all of that. When I got to college, when I got to BYU, I couldn't believe all the time, because I was the first Tongan to get to be at BYU. So I show up on the campus and there are like 18 Samoans on the team, maybe a dozen. Those Samoan guys were all walking around wearing lava-lavas on campus, slippers, you know, most of them, you know the Anais, you know, some of these guys went to school, Junior Filianga, they're all Kahuku guys.
Yeah.
They wore their Polynesian on their, they were proud of who they were. But here's the reason why I changed my mind. I changed my mind because those guys were walking around campus with lava-lavas on and slippers, and they had picks in their hair. I realized, yeah, all had afros. They had the cutest girls on campus were all in their arms. And I said to myself, hey, Bila, I said, you know what? I'm Polynesian. My name is not Vai Sikahema, it's Vai Sikahema.
Oh, especially here at BYU, they've had a lot of mistakes on live on TV, you know, pronouncing our names.
Yeah. Now all of a sudden I became full on Tongan, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
By a young, well, he's not so young anymore, but a kid named Moses Muti Tauteoli.
That's my man.
Yes. I want to read what he wrote about you in the page. Okay. Vai was a natural boxer and a Golden Glove champion in his teen years. The great thing about Vai is what you see is what you get. He is consistent and true to himself, even today, as a general authority, as I watch his talks on video. He is the same Vai Sikahema I've known for many years, the first Tongan to break into the NFL, set records, and is the first team All-Pro honors. This is a kid that looked up to you. He looks at you as a mentor. And, you know, I know I asked you this question earlier, but, you know, watching the snip that Caroline played for us at the beginning with the young black kid, you know, with no shoes, you did something you probably didn't think of anything about. I mean, he came years later and you did not even recognize him. What would you say to kids who are looking for somebody to be their mentor, to push them? What would be the drive for them to do and keep going with what their dreams about?
You know, sense. Yeah, no, it makes sense. The story that Bill references, my rookie year in St. Louis, I saw a kid, he had holes in his shoes. And so, you know, Tim will tell you, when you're a professional athlete, they not only give you free shoes, but they pay you to wear their shoes. So giving away shoes is something that everybody does. But I saw this kid, I said, look, why don't you come with me? I'll get you a pair of shoes. What was different about this situation is that same kid got drafted 10 years later by the Philadelphia Eagles, where I was working, what I am now, where I was working as a TV reporter. Right. And I forgot about him. And then he came in, and then we became reacquainted. And so I think it starts with who we are as Tongans. what I did that day is not, it's honestly, is Timote has done it a million times. You know, if we have something as Tongans, it's just part of our culture. If we have something that we have in excess, we share it. We just give it away, you know. There's a great story in the book about William Mariner, the young boy who was saved. He was on the ship Port-au-Prince that was attacked by Ulukalala in Hapai in 1805, and Ulukalala and his warriors killed everybody on that ship but 4 boys, and William Mariner was one of them. And Ulukalala also sunk the ship in the harbor. And so William Mariner was 14 years old, and he told Ulukalala, he somehow was able to communicate to Ulukalala that they need to go into the ship and bring up the chest because there was gold in it. So Ulukalala had 30 of his men dive into the ship. From the hull of the ship, they bring out the chest of gold. When they opened it up on the beach, Ulukalala didn't know what the gold was. And so he asked him, "What is this?" And to the interpreter, there was somebody there who could speak a little bit of English, I guess. And William Mariner explained to him that gold was valuable. And Ulukalala said to him, "It's not valuable to Tongans because we can't eat it." Now think about what Ulukalala was saying. He said, the reason why this is valuable to you white people is because it can be stored. Because he said, in art where we live in Tonga, if a man has a fish, if a man is a fisherman and his neighbor is a farmer, they exchange. And you give, the fisherman will give the farmer a fish, and the farmer will give the fisherman a yam. Because if you collect this stuff, it rots and it goes bad. Right. And he said, the reason why gold is dangerous to you white people, and I understand why you think it's valuable, is because it doesn't go bad. It can be stored and hoarded. And he said, that's why you people kill over it, because you can, he says, the reason why the reason why it's not valuable to us as Tongans is because we can't eat it. Now think about how poignant the logic in that is. Brilliant. Yeah. It's brilliant. Because Ulukalala said, I have seen white men come to our islands over and over the years, and they bring this stuff. And the reason why you kill each other over it is because you can hoard it. Because because it can be stored. We live in an island where we can't store things. And he might as well said you can't refrigerate things. So we have to use things or give it away. That logic is there's something unique and something there's just something valuable in that kind of lesson for us as Tongans. Sometimes we do what those people on that ship did. We think that something is valuable, we keep things. And in the Tongan way, in the Tongan custom, we still do this today. Yeah. We find our value as Tongans by not what we have, but what we give away, right? You see it in weddings, you see it at funerals. A person's wealth in Tonga and in our community is determined by how much we give away, not how much we keep. So in that light, I think when you ask the question, where can the kid find mentors? Where you find your mentors? By being a mentor. And anybody can be a mentor. You can be a mentor if you're a 10-year-old kid. You can mentor the kid, in the school below you, in the grade behind you. You can mentor your neighbors. And when you do that, you will find easily other people who will help mentor you.
Yeah, and you have to be coachable too. One of the big reasons is that you have to be coachable when somebody says you're asking somebody for help and they give you some direction and give you some help, it means that guy been through it and he knows what he's been through it. And a lot of the kids nowadays is that sometimes I see this in some of the athletes, that the younger kids that I don't know, that maybe they're so confident in themselves that they, sometimes don't take the coaching from somebody else. They just they're not coachable at all. They think that they can do it themselves, and those are the kids that sometimes get in trouble because of how they're thinking. Their mindset is that they're not coachable. But that's the big thing is just like Vai said. You have to. I mean, you have to set goals for yourself. And go after it. And the big thing is you have to work for it. It's not setting goal and just sitting there and not do it. You have to set the goal and go for it. And if it doesn't work, go somewhere else. Try something else. I mean, we tell this to our kids. I mean, my father, he tells me that all the time. If something don't work, go do something else to make it happen. So, that's the same thing we tell our kids. You go through a door as it closes, go through the window.
Hey, Bill.
Yes.
You have to remind kids and even adults. Hey, Michael Jordan had a coach, and so does Tom Brady. He has a coach.
Yes.
John Alomu, the greatest rugby player of all time, in my opinion, he had coaches. We all need coaches.
But it's like what Tim is saying here. These kids has to be willing to be coached. Yeah. I mean, if you go in there, it's like you guys mentioned. I mean, you can go in just like that, and you can be booted out just like that.
Yep.
It's that quick,
Yep.
So,
hey, sometimes it's Bill, Carlos.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not the kids that need the coaching. Sometimes it's their parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. The sideline coaches.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes the kids are just fine, but it's the parents.
It's the parents. You're right.
They need the coaching.
No, the parents go to the game and then they're the coach. When they go and they're coaching from the sideline.
Yeah.
And refereeing.
Yeah.
I used to tell my dad would come to games. He did not know what was going. He never understood the rules of football. He was a good rugby player, but he never understood. And he'd be yelling from the sidelines, "Hey, I'm not waiting because the coach, Dad, because the defense is in right now. That's why I'm not in the game."
Yeah.
Go, coach. Oh, Dad, just relax. Just relax. It's all right.
Hey, Vi, I wanted to ask a question. Since we were talking about ships earlier, the Minerva Reef. I see you were involved in a documentary that Leo had put together. If you have any input about, because I think your grandfather was a part of that voyage.
Yeah, that I'm named after my grandfather because he Carlo, Bill, Timote, do you guys know this? What Han was talking about?
I've heard a little about it from the uncle.
So quickly, here's what happened. 1962, a group of boxers left Tonga in July to go to New Zealand. There was a hurricane in Tonga in 1961, wiped up the crops, everything, and so they were desperate. They needed money to pay for their kids' tuition and just to live. So this group of 17 men left Tonga in July 1962 to go to New Zealand. My father was supposed to be one of the men. And the day they were to leave, my grandfather showed up at the wharf and told him to stay with my mom because she was pregnant with me. My mom was 8 months pregnant.
Wow.
So, my dad, they had an argument at the wharf, but ultimately, my dad stood down and then my grandfather got on the boat. And I think 2 days into the sail, they hit a reef that was at low tide in the middle of the night. The boat disintegrated, but they ended up living on the reef for 101 days. Wow. It's one of the greatest stories. The reason why they survived is that there was a Japanese fishing vessel that had ran aground 2 or 3 years earlier in the reef. The Minerva Reef is one of the biggest reefs in the world. It's the size of an island. It's like 20 miles by 20 miles. It's a huge reef, and at low tide, at high tide you wouldn't even know that it's there, but in low tide, these guys, people would run into it. So they survived by living on that Japanese ship for 101 days. It's one of the greatest stories. 5 men died on the reef, and my grandfather survived. But while he was missing, I was born in August, and they were still missing. They weren't discovered until October, and but I was given his name because they thought he had died. But if you ever come across the book or you get to see the documentary that Han was talking about, watch it. It's one of the great stories about Tongan leadership, about Tongan toughness, Tongan faith. These men, they had the captains, Tevita Fifita created work parties for them to go fish every day for their food. They created something that caught rainwater, so they can drink it. And after about 2 months, they decided nobody was coming, so they started peeling planks from the ship, and they built a little boat that they went out to bring help, and they ultimately found help. But but in true Tongan custom, they did not work on Sundays for 3 months. They observed the Sabbath day on Sundays. They did not work. They did not fish. And I believe that's part of the reason. That's why it's such a great story. I don't know if the documentary is out yet or not. I don't know if it's still, there's actually a group in Australia that's working on a movie of it.
I see that.
And I know they had reached out to Dwayne Johnson's group, who has a production company, to help them. I don't know if they're going to get help or not, but I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money to help out with their project, but they need somebody like The Rock, who's got millions and millions of dollars.
Millions.
Yeah. That's Lord of the Flies documentary?
That was a different one. That's the one
that's
that.
A different one.
Yeah.
That's the group of boys that they stole a boat, and they went and they ended up on Ata, right? And they lived there. They lived there for like 8 months, 9 months. That happened in like I don't know, 20 years ago, 20 years ago, I think, I want to say.
Yeah. Wow. That'd be a great documentary to watch. Or movie. Yeah.
Hopefully someday, huh?
We're available.
Well,
anyways, Why? Let's go back to your BYU days. I mean, like I said, I was a big BYU fan. I wasn't a member back then, and I grew up with Tim in Laie, in the little Kahoku church over there.
Do you guys know? Do you guys know my wife, Keala Heater?
Yes, Dr. Heater's daughter. Yes.
Yeah. Red
She
Raider,
was in our class.
R for L, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But since you brought out your wife, let's talk about Kel. I mean, beside every good man, there's a good woman. Tell us a little more about your wife and what impact she made in your life and in your career.
Well, I was very, very fortunate to meet Keala, and a friend introduced us. There's something funny about how we met. The night we met, I came home and I called my mom and I told my mom about her. And then my mom wanted to know who she was, and I said, "Well, her name is," my mom always, probably the same with you two. my mom since I was a little boy. Hey, you're gonna marry Tongan. Don't marry Palangi. You know, they won't understand our ways. So I came to Provo in 1980, and she said, "Hey, every chance you get, go to Salt Lake and, you know, go to the funerals, go to, you know, weddings, go show up there and go see if you can meet somebody there, and have a Tongan girlfriend." And every time I went there, I would meet somebody. Oh man, she's pretty, and I go up and talk to them, and then her mother would come and say, "Oh, hey, we're actually cousins."
You're related.
Right. I think they probably just told me that just to stay away from their daughters.
Stay away where you're related.
But we met after I went and served a mission, and I came back, and a friend introduced us, and you know, we dated, and you know, it was funny because Keala had, you know, Tim knows that, you know, Cal had dated a couple of guys that Tim knew. One of them was Lesini Latu, one of your boys, and who's a cousin to me. And you know, she would laugh because she would tell me, "Oh, you know,
it's Bill's brother-in-law."
Is he?
Yeah.
He's actually with me in St. George.
Is he there for real?
Yes.
Hey, tell Lesini go off out.
Yes, I will. I'm pretty sure he's watching.
Yeah. Oh, good. Lesini, my ofat. Lesini actually came and lived in my house in Arizona when I left for BYU.
Yes.
And what I thought was a stupid thing to do, even 40 years later, my dad told his dad, Shonehe, hey, send your son to here because Vai just got a scholarship to BYU. I'm sure if he comes here, he'll get a scholarship. I told my dad later, I was the only one that got a scholarship from my high school in like 10 years. Kahuku sends out 6 kids every year to, you know, the division. But this is Tongan logic, man. My dad, send him over here. I told my dad, if he just stayed home in Laie, he's got a better shot to go to college from Laie than at Kahuku High School is a much better football school. Anyways, I met my wife. We dated, and she told me, she said, you know, girls used to always make fun of guys, like Ofa's wife, the new Matalolo daughter-in-law. What's her name?
The Matalolo, Janice, my brother's wife.
Janice.
Yeah.
Ofa's wife, right?
Yeah, Janice. Yeah.
Keala would tell me. She said, you know, every Hawaiian, every girl that, you know, that a lot of the girls that would date Tongan boys, people would make fun of them, that, you know, that we'd walk by the, you know, and we go, you know, make horse sounds. And I told her, I said, you know what? That's when you were cursed. When you start making fun of Tongans and eating horse, you were destined to marry a Tongan.
To marry a Tongan, yeah.
That's what happens. You make fun of us. I said, you know, we have horsepower.
Horsepower.
But we've had a great marriage, and we've raised 4 kids, and they're all doing well.
Nice.
So we're hoping actually that 2 of my boys, I think they're applying for jobs at BYU Hawaii, so they may get the Hawaii experience. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens, but we're good. I'm retiring in my career in TV. I'm retiring in about 4 weeks, and then we're actually gonna move to Utah. So we'll be in Provo.
Nice.
Bill, so you're in St. George, right?
Yes, maybe you'll be the new AD over here, huh?
No. I don't want anything to do with athletics. Too many headaches, man. Those guys, a lot of headaches. But we'll figure out. You know, we'll see. And what we'll do and try to figure out the next phase of our lives. But we're happy.
Yeah.
We're good. Hey, Tim, where are your daughters? Did they stay back east in Cleveland, or
Yeah.
are they out
They're in
west?
Cleveland. They're in Cleveland. Yeah, they're both done with school, and since the pandemic, they can't go anywhere, so they're just back home
just sitting
with work.
tight.
Yeah.
So you guys, man, Bill, you and I are the same age. You mentioned BYU. When I first came to BYU, man, that was it was a big deal, I think, to the Tongans in Salt Lake, because nobody had played football and come to BYU on a football scholarship.
Oh, wow.
Lake was the next one that came, and that was 3 years later. You and Lake graduated in '83, right? You guys,
Yes.
you guys are all the same age. You guys were the '83 class.
Yeah.
I always tease our cousin Vili Fehoko. You guys know Vili. I said because Vili graduated with Cal and Tim and them '83, but I said, Vili, I think you were supposed to graduate in '79 or '80, but you graduated in '83.
One of those 10-year guys in the 6th grade, huh?
Right. It's another guy's Jack Damuni, who came to BYU and he was 28.
Yeah.
I always tease Cal about the Kahuku boys. I said, "Hon, what is it about these Kahuku boys, man? These guys show up to BYU and they're like already 30 already." No. They went to junior college. No, still. They all show up at BYU. It's like, these guys show up and they're 25, 28 years old. Oh, man.
Well, my time is I know it's pretty late out there in Philly, but your new calling, I can't let you go without saying something about, like I mentioned, I think you're the first Tongan in the general authority of the church.
No, not. I'm Area 70, and there are other Tongans who are serving Area 70s. They're not, there's one. I think Tonga is covered by an Area 70 who's always Tongan. The one that's in Tonga now is Kupu, Elder Kupu, who was the mission president in Zambia, Africa, until about 1.5 years ago. So
right.
But no, so it's not real unique, but there hasn't been a lot of us who have served as Area 70, so that's unique. But
well, let's go ahead and round this off. Hano, do you have another question for Vai?
Oh man, I know it's getting pretty late out there in Philly, man. I don't want to keep him up all night. I was going to bring up the Conseco fight, but probably another time.
No, he wants to talk about the Conseco fight.
Yes, I know he does. And we all watched it.
Yeah.
You had a crew out there too, though, have I? You had a couple guys out there on the side of the ring, huh? Vili and those guys.
Vili and those guys. Vili brought his warrior outfit and his drums. Yeah. They were beating the drums, and everybody was man. Mote, I told him afterwards, hey, you didn't know this, but you were going to get your butt kicked tonight either way, because if I didn't do it, there was about 10 guys because they were all wanting a piece of you.
They were probably jumped the ropes.
Right. Oh man, we've actually become friends since.
Wow.
And he sent me a matter of fact, let me see if I can play it for you. He sent me this nice little thing. And I think I can just play it and show it to you right here. All right, here it is. Let me turn it up.
What's up, Vi? Jose Canseco here. I want to congratulate you from retired from NBC 10 and Philadelphia. And now that you're retired, I'm ready for that second match. I mean, you hit me so hard last time, my head is still spinning. Again, congratulations, buddy.
Oh, what a good
That's
sport,
great.
man.
That's a
That's
good
Right.
sport.
Yeah.
That's
He's a
awesome.
good sport. That was nice that he sent that today. So that was nice. It was funny because when we set up the fight, his agent called me and he said, "Hey, I want you to get in the ring with our guy." And he said, "Would you do it?" I said, "Yeah, I would do it." I said, "Why do you want me to do it? Why did you choose me?" He goes, "Well, you're a former athlete, and you work in TV. You can promote the fight, and it's also it's very important for us in his career that he start with a win." And I looked at him. Actually, I was on the phone with him. Mucker, this is just typical Tongan stuff. I said to him, "Hey, listen to me closely. There is no way in hell your guy's going to beat me." And he goes, so he asked me, he goes, "How big are you?" I said, I walk around, I'm 5'8", 5'9". I walk around about 205 pounds. He goes, "My guy's 6'4", 250. I go, I know he's a big guy, but you have to understand. See, he's Cuban? He goes, "Yeah, he's Cuban." He goes, "See, he's going to fight. He will just fight until I fall down. Tongans fight until we're dead. Until we're dead. So if I'm on the ground, I will bite his ankles, but we're not going to get to that." I said, Tongans don't fight just to win. We fight till somebody dies. He goes, "Really?" I go, "Yeah, I'm just telling you." He goes, the other thing is this. I said, when we train to fight, we're short. Tongans are shorter, and we know that guys are going to be bigger. We train to fight bigger people. So if he was my size, I might have trouble with him. But he's tailor made for me. He's 6'4". Oh man, he said, I told him, "Man, that's I'm going to be licking my chops, man. I can't wait." So.
Man,
So
what a
I asked him. I
knockout
said,
it was. Huh?
Yeah. I said, has he ever fought a Tongan before? He goes, "I don't even think he knows what a Tongan is." And I said to him,
Who's that?
I said, he's going to find out. He's going to find out.
He sure did.
Saturday night.
Well,
But
with that little
crazy
video, he knows what a Tongan is.
a lot of it is just trash talking, and as Timothy knows, we do well in professional sports. We kind of yap and talk. But, in the end, we became friends, and he sent something really nice for my retirement. So. Hey, this has been so fun to talk to you guys and see your faces, and I'm a big fan. So glad that you guys do this. This is really important for our people, and that you guys honor me by having me on your show, and I look forward to having others and tuning in and watching the other guests that you'll have. Man, we have. I was telling Timothy the other day, man, we have rugby players. We got. A reporter once asked me, "How come Tongans don't play baseball?" And I said, "Well, it's probably because, I said, "You ever see a baseball fight?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "What about it?" I said, "Well, see, this is why we can't play baseball. Because I watch baseball games. As soon as they have a fight, the first thing the guy does with the bat is drop it." I said, "Tongans won't drop that bat.
We'll use it, huh?
We're going to take the bat with us."
And take the helmet off. Well, since you brought that up, our group been talking about something that we wanted to do with Tonga, and I think maybe we wanted to see. It's just an idea now. Wanted to maybe start a Hall of Fame for the Tongan people in Tonga.
Yeah.
And do it in Tonga. I know you're involved with the Polynesian Hall of Fame, but it's just an idea now we're talking about, and hopefully that we can pull it off and do something for the just for the athletes of Tonga. I think just to recognize those people that came before us and put the name, athletic wise. I think everything flows from there to here now where we're at now. But want to make sure that we try to get their name out there and let people know that they were athletes in Tonga, just to have a Hall of Fame for them. What's any idea, or is that a good idea or bad idea, or?
You know what? There's when was the last time you guys were in Tonga? Carlos says that she goes fairly regularly. I was there about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. 2 years ago, I was there. When I was there, there's a Hall of Fame actually in Tonga. It's not very well kept, and it's dusty and not well kept. But they have one there, so I don't know who started it, but there's something there. We started the Polynesian Football Hall of Fame about 8 years ago, and we got a couple of business guys who knew what they were doing, and they had created the Black College Football Hall of Fame. So they came and knowing how to do it and how to raise money for it.
Sure.
And now it's well funded, and they have sponsorships. I was telling Timote Bill that I'll talk to my group, and because Reno Mahe is on our board of directors, and maybe we can a Tongan Hall of Fame would, in my opinion, wouldn't interfere with the Polynesian Football Hall of Fame, which, by the way, Timote will probably be honored, I would imagine, in the next year or two. And so you guys should plan to, they do the voting and usually right now in October, and then they'll name the class in November.
Wow.
But I don't see our Hall of Fame interfering with yours or yours with ours.
Right.
Ours is just football. Yours, right. The Tongan Hall of Fame would incorporate rugby and boxing,
every sport,
and every sport. So maybe we can figure out a way to help you guys make it happen. There's going to be always costs involved and incurred,
of course,
with anything.
Sure.
So, So and you'd have to have people that run it and operate it.
Yeah.
And,
it's just an idea. We just, we're just thinking that
we should talk. I think it's an idea worth
looking at,
probing and looking into.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I told Timote, let me ask you guys, without thinking right now, because I already told Timote who my very first athlete would be. You guys give me a name of the very first Tongan Hall of Famer.
To me, it'd be Sione Mafi. I'm kind of biased on that because he's my uncle, but he's the first athlete that I grew up, admiring and idolizing. Sione Mafi.
Tell me, Sione Mafi?
Yes. He was the number 8 for the 1973 team. And he was the captain of that team, and it's just the style and that he played, and not only on the field, but he was also, I was told by my father, he knew how to bring the guys together. Mm-hmm. It was just different with that team, and a captain is very vocal. This guy wasn't a talker, but he made an impact just by his actions and the way he portrayed the game to the teammates. He made everybody wanting to represent and proud of wearing that red jersey. So,
Hano, how about you?
I think with me, I think our first Tongan global sports star was Gideon Lave. You know, he's the first one I know that took it international. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I can't really pick him. There's too many. There's
Yeah.
Jonah, so many guys.
Carlo, do you have a pick?
No, I'm in the same boat as Hano. It's a really good question.
Pick one.
I'm more inclined to. I was thinking of Love as well, Hano. But you know, it's you can sit down and make a list and break it up, and then
Yeah.
your
I
heroes each
actually
decade.
think I actually think if you go to the Hall of Fame, it's a little tiny building in I think it's in Havelu, where they have a Hall of Fame. I think Kithion Elave is already in there.
I think
I'm
not too sure if it's there anymore.
Yeah, it was there 2 summers ago when I was in Tonga. Timote, tell everybody what I told you, and then I want to hear who you have.
No, you mentioned Jonah Lomu was be the first guy.
Yeah, that's my guy, but you know, who would you say, Mote? You have somebody?
I'll pick you, man.
Nick. You know what? Case
Case
closed.
No. The Hall of Fame would be just shut down if I'm the first one there, man. It's no good.
It's the first class, man. First class.
But you know, like I said, I mean, you'll have to excuse my ignorance on football, and that's and even on yourself as well. I mean, I knew you're a big deal, but you know, when I came across that video and you know some of the with Barrett and stuff, I think it's you know to be someone in the Hall of Fame, you're not just a great player, you're a great you've got to be you've got to be a better person than the typical person that, you know, without minimizing anyone.
Off and on and off the field.
That's right. And you know what you did to that little boy who went in there with you know, you mentioned in your modesty that, you know, oh, that's what everyone does because we get given stuff, so it's not a problem, it's not a big deal to give, but you know, you changed this person's life. And you know, he remembered that, he followed you, and that little boy automatically became a better person for what you did. And you know, he's going to take those life lessons and he's going to affect someone else as well. And you know, it's a ripple effect. And for me, when you think about someone at Hall of Fame, you know, like Tim and the rest of us say, you're right up there. Your game, it's not just about you know, watching the aggressive man, no one can put that guy down sort of thing. It's also about that guy or that person, that sports person, changing people's lives to be better. So yeah, I'm definitely, and I'm sorry I wasn't a fan earlier, but I'm you're a big fan now. So
all that matters is now. How dare you, Carlo? You weren't a fan earlier.
Don't worry, when we touch up, and you know, because I'm from Havelu, I will go and look for you know, whatever that state of it is, and I'll make sure your picture is the framed out of all of them.
You're very nice. Hey, I didn't realize, man, it's midnight over here. I'll let you guys go.
Yeah.
Okay.
We could talk all night, but I look forward to this, hearing who you guys have on. Who you guys have on next week?
Well, we have
might have Tim.
We're gonna try to have a rugby guy come on because we had a boxing, we have American football.
Nice.
So,
hey, you guys got to get some of those wrestlers too, man, that you guys have been posting.
Yeah.
Oh, we will. We will.
Yeah.
Man, those guys.
I'm trying to reach out to Willie O. Maybe he'll see this tonight. I'm trying to reach out to him. Maybe we can have him next.
Or he'll see it tonight. Yeah.
Malo apito mai.
But Vai, we're trying to work things out with David Tua. He's part Tongan in conversating with him, but we're trying to work it out where he can come. I would love for you to come and be part of the, I know your boxing career. You had an early love for that game, so we'd love for you to come and join us and have some questions for him, man. But thank you
this
for
this is nice just to sit and visit. It's we're doing it on whatever this is, Zoom or Skype, whatever. I think it's Zoom. But man, this is nice. I don't even know or care if anybody else is listening. It's just fun just to talk to you guys.
Yeah,
and sit and visit.
Yeah.
So
catching up.
You might have just send me the link every week, whoever you have on, and I'll just I may not be able to do it every week, but yeah, I'll tune in, and especially once I retire next week in 3-4 weeks, Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are gonna be tired of having me on all the time.
Oh, we love to have you. That'd be great.
You can report from here.
Right. Thank you very much, man.
All right,
We
man. Love you, man. Tim, I
love you,
my
man.
brother. Good to see you.
Happy retirement.
Yeah, bye.
Okay.
Okay. Malo.
Malo.
Thanks, gang. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. So I'll we'll work on our next one.
Yeah.
Let me.
We're still on Facebook, huh?